Young Don the Sauce God in the building!
Young Don the Sauce God.
Today we'll be reacting to a video by my favorite YouTuber, Young Don Reborn. It's no longer Young Don the Sauce God. And he shares his thoughts on being nice to people and how you shouldn't do that. So
yesterday I was thinking about something that I have never thought about deeply up until yesterday. And it was inspired by a book I've recently started listening to called Meditations by Marcus Aurelius.
Marcus Aurelius. He has a lot of profound quotes, and for the people who have my number on WhatsApp, I think they've seen me post a number of his quotes on my status. So W. Marcus Aurelius.
Marcus Aurelius is a philosopher. He was the emperor of the Roman Empire for a period of time, and he's known as the philosopher emperor. But the thing I want to talk about today is the importance of being kind. That's something that I've never really given much thought to. Pretty much all my life, I have conflated being kind with being nice or being generous. I would think the word kind to be a synonym for one of those two things. You know, I recently got married, and one of the pieces of advice my mother gave me upon getting married was that I should be kind to my wife, and that my wife should be kind to me as well. And I would brush it off because I was thinking, oh yeah, I'm nice to her. Of course I'm nice to her, and I'm very generous to her. You know what I'm saying? Like, shit, ask my bank account how generous I am to my wife. You feel me?
Don, ever the funny guy. Even when he's serious, he always finds a way to be funny. So,
but I'm realizing now, I didn't understand what it truly means to be kind. Upon introspection, I realized that I have not been a very kind person in general because I have not been conscious of being kind. So let me define what being kind is, how I think it's different from being nice and also different from being generous. I still stand on, I believe it's in nobody's best interest to be a nice person. There's a reason they say nice guys finish last.
yes, that's very true. Nice guys always finish last. It's something we've heard being said a lot because it's true. I just had a flashback of a memory I had from high school where I liked a girl. Yeah, my friend told me not to talk about this story, but I'll just for the sake of this video, I'll just give this little part. There was a time, that girl I was talking about, I would walk her to her aunt's place, which is where she went after school before being picked by her mother or her father. So I'd walk her there, and one day I remember I got out of school early. I don't remember why, but because I was doing this every day, I waited for her at the bus stop that we usually get our combis to go home. And because I'd gone off early from school and I was going home by myself, and I was seeing as it is that I walked with her every day to her aunt's place, just left her there and went home. I waited for her at the bus stop that we usually get the combis to go home with. So I remember I waited for, I don't really remember how long it was, but something like 15 minutes upwards. So because we had mutual friends, like some of my friends were friends with some of her friends, so when we were coming from school to the bus stop, we'd walk as a group and people would go off in their different directions. So my best friend who told me not to tell this story, sorry, again, he had stayed behind with them, and so he was walking with them. And then when they were approaching the bus stop, they saw me there, and then one of the girls who was there was like, "Oh, he waited for you." I guess she was trying to put in a good word for me without me knowing, or I don't know. So she was like, "Oh, you two should date. He seems to like you, and he's a nice person. He's a nice guy." Essentially what she said is like, yeah, he's nice." Because I wasn't there, like my friend just like told me after, just like, okay. For anyone who didn't see my friend zone video, which you can go watch after this video, after you finish this whole video, because you messing my attention. I went into some of the details of that same story. Basically, yeah, it didn't work out well. I was friend zoned and we haven't spoken in over, how long has it been? Like 3 years, 4 years. So I guess in this context of relationships, the point being, it's not in your best interest as a guy to be nice because yeah, you're just nice. You don't. Lots of people are nice. You don't really stand out, and you expose yourself to the risk, or if you want to call it a risk, of being used, of being taken advantage of. So yeah, as a guy, it's in your best interest not to be nice.
To be kind is to behave in a way that takes the feelings and emotions and sensibilities of other people into account in a positive and loving way. Whereas being nice is behaving in a way where the goal is to get other people to like you more. And then being generous is simply the act of giving freely and happily. So I'll give an example of each. Let's say your wife made you dinner. Let's say your girlfriend made you dinner. And let's say she's usually an amazing cook, has never made a bad meal. But one day she just wasn't on her A game. Maybe she was a little distracted, whatever the reason. The dinner did not come out very good. So you receive this meal, you eat it and realize it's not very good. And you're used to it being good. So you're used to eating your meal and then complimenting her on her cooking. To be nice is to tell her, thanks babe, that was great. Business as usual, as you usually do, but you're not being honest. But you're saying that hoping not to upset her by giving her the truth. To be kind is to tell her that the meal wasn't as good as it usually is, but to do it in a way where you are conscious of her feelings. And depending on the dynamic between the two of you, it might be as simple as to not say anything at all. Because if she's used to getting praise when she does cook well, if when you eat this meal, you just put it in the sink and you don't really say anything, that may be enough for her to kind of be like, oh, I guess he didn't really like it that much. But let's say you feel like, oh, you really need to say something for her to know that, you know, something went wrong there. Then you could say along the lines of, oh baby, the steak isn't hidden like it usually does. What do you think that could be? And then might tell you, oh, I was a little distracted, oh, I left it on too long, or I got it from somewhere else. But you don't go, oh, this don't taste good. You feel me? Because it doesn't matter that you've been complimenting her every day for the past however long on her cooking. That's still gonna hurt her feelings because she put in effort. If it's something she does for you on a regular basis, she obviously cares about how you feel about it.
I think the challenge with doing that is you're afraid of how the person might react. Basically touching into what he just said, of saying things that make other people like you, as opposed to saying the truth and things that will ultimately be for the better because you're helping them to improve on something that they may have not gone right. But I do get that the challenge with doing that, especially with people in general being used to saying things that make other people like them or not saying things that may upset people. So yeah, it's difficult in that regard, but lots of things in life aren't difficult. The more difficult, the more rewarding, typically speaking. So yeah.
And then being generous, someone is in need of some money, you give them said money. You do it with a cheerful heart. You don't do it in a way where it's like, damn, I gotta give this person money, or oh, they're probably expecting it, or you do it in a generous way. You do it in a giving way. You do it in a way where you're happy to help. That's a generosity.
And again, to touch into the whole generosity thing, I think a lot of people have the tendency to expect things back. Like if I lend a friend of mine some money, he needs some money and I lend him that money. The danger with not really clearly communicating the context or the conditions of you being generous or you giving them that money, it's quite dangerous. It could really be abrasive to a potential relationship, especially with money, because if you give someone money, you're typically expect it back. But I think what's important to realize is this money potentially could not come back, especially if it's a close friend or a family member. Yeah, it's pretty much not coming back. So I think if you as a person realize that before helping someone out, it could save a potential relationship with another person, be it a brother, a friend, a partner, a spouse, because as soon as you go, oh, I need that money, yeah, it could really be corrosive to a potential relationship. I think I've heard of a story that happened somewhere. A guy was involved in an accident, a life threatening accident, that he immediately had to seek medical attention for. If not, he would die. And then his parents had been saving up money to do something. I think it was like build a house. And so they used that money to pay for the medical bills for their son to survive. But then time went by, and then the parents were like, we need that money because we were trying to build a house and we need that money back. And apparently, he had given them some money back just to show appreciation, to say, you helped save my life because I was about to die, and you came in and you helped me in a situation where I really needed help. And he had given them some of the money back, but not all of it. And so now they were wanting the remainder. You see how complicated this situation is, because it's your mom and dad. You know, they've been taking care of you a large part of your life, and because of that, you kind of feel indebted to them, as to say, you took care of me for however many years, and here I am. I'm in hospital. I could die. I really need help with the medical bills. And you came in, and I appreciate that. And then when they come to you and they say, we need that money back, you can see how complicated things can be. So I think it's important to become a generous person, to where you give happily and freely and without expecting the money back, unless you clearly establish between whoever you're helping that they're going to have to give that money back because you need it. So yeah, either you accept willingly to help them without expecting something in return, or you clearly establish conditions to say you need the money back. So that's the thing he kind of didn't touch on. So I thought I'd just add my comments to that.
And I realize it's important to meditate on kindness, because we all appreciate kindness, because none of us are perfect and we're all flawed. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention, if that's something you have not thought about, the importance of being kind. It's different from being nice, and it's different from being generous, and it's always honest. It really comes from a place of constantly being conscious of how flawed we are all as individuals. There is always a kind way to be honest. I will be trying to be more kind in my videos when I'm talking about people or discussing ideas that I disagree with immensely, and I think that's a good thing.
Hey, thanks for watching. How about you like the video and subscribe, huh? While you're at it, follow me on